Hello, my name is Michael Dennis. This is another in the 10-minute tip series of programs for credit and collection professionals. This program is titled When and How to Hold Orders. Let's begin. Introduction. Knowing when the credit department should hold orders is just as important as knowing how to place accounts on credit hold. In this program, we're going to discuss and examine how, when, and why customers need to be placed on credit hold by the business-to-business credit department. An important goal of this program, or any discussion about credit holds, is to find ways to reduce the number of times that the credit department has got to place a customer on credit hold. Another goal of this program is to examine how the credit department, can insulate itself from any repercussions associated with the decision to place customers on hold. An additional goal will be to examine who in the credit department should be in a position to either place orders on hold, place customers on hold, or release accounts from credit hold and release orders from credit hold. When to hold orders. Generally speaking, your customer should be eligible for a credit hold when any of the following occur. 1. The customer's account is seriously past due. Please note that I've deliberately not defined what seriously means, because for some creditors, having a customer that's 30 days past due could be a serious problem. For others, it might be 90 days past due. So your company has to determine its sensitivity or its tolerance for customer slow payment. Another scenario in which a customer would be eligible for a credit hold is a situation in which you have tried to reach out to the customer on more than one occasion, and for whatever reason, the debtor company is not returning your messages. Another issue that might result in a credit hold is a situation in which you learn, for example, in an industry credit group meeting, that one of your customers is paying other trade creditors but is not paying your company. Another situation is one in which you determine or learn through some mechanism that the customer in question, the delinquent customer, is in serious financial trouble. Another is that the customer says or notifies you or informs you that they are considering filing for bankruptcy protection or something equivalent to a bankruptcy protection request, such as, for example, entering into receivership or something along those lines. A customer might be eligible for a credit hold if they are proposing an extended payment plan. And just as an illustration, an extended payment plan would be, in this scenario, a situation in which you're calling to inquire about the status of a past due balance. Let's just say $1,000 past due balance. And rather than making a payment commitment saying, I'll pay you on Friday, what the customer does instead is offer an extended payment plan where they say, perhaps, I'll pay a third of the $1,000 this month, a third next month, and the third 2 months from now. So that's an extended payment plan. Certainly a customer could, in theory, be eligible for a credit hold if they are making and then breaking payment commitments to your company, especially if they have done that more than one time in connection with a specific past due balance. When to hold orders continued. A customer could be eligible for a credit hold if you're convinced that the risks associated with approving an additional release of products or services on open account terms is more than offset, I should say, by the potential rewards. In other words, the profits that you stand to make if the customer makes a sale don't offset the risk of actually offering additional open account terms to that customer. Clearly, when customers are no longer communicating with you, when they're no longer returning your calls and messages, that is certainly a time where you need to get their attention. And placing an account on credit hold is a way of signaling to the customer that you don't have many options available. You don't have a lot of time to wait for them to begin the dialogue and begin the discussion about how they're going to retire their past due balance. If a customer makes an unacceptable payment proposal to you, it may be time for a credit hold. For example, you're asking about that $1,000 past due invoice, and they say, we're going to pay you sometime next month, or we're going to pay you in 60 days, or we're going to take an extra 30 days before we can pay that past due balance. That unacceptable payment proposal may be the justification you need to place the account on credit hold. Similarly, if they refuse to make any payment proposal, you inquire about the status of the $1,000 past due invoice, and their response is, we don't know when we're going to pay you, nothing is scheduled, call us back in a week or call us back in a month, and we'll give you an update then. That's a refusal to make any payment proposal, and it's an even stronger reason than a situation in which the customer has made an unacceptable payment proposal. It's a stronger reason to put that customer on hold. More generally, if you as the creditor are not convinced you're making adequate progress to clear and close the past due balance, that may be exactly the justification to place an account on hold. If a customer threatens to stop payment on a check that they've already mailed to you, if you don't continue to release orders pending, that, to me, it's not quite blackmail, but it certainly has that feel to it, and that may be a justification for placing an account on hold. And again, a general statement, if you, as the creditor, believe the debtor company is either unwilling or unable to pay the past due balance, that would certainly be a good reason to consider a credit hold. Why the credit department must sometimes hold orders. So, credit hold is not an arbitrary thing that the credit department does. We, the credit department, hold orders in order to get the debtor company's attention. What we're trying to do is to encourage customers to pay past due invoices sooner rather than later. And sometimes the only form of encouragement that we have left in our toolbox is a credit hold. We also hold orders in a very real sense to prevent throwing good money after bad. Using our $1,000 past due balance scenario, we know we're at risk for $1,000 if we continue to release orders on open account terms in spite of the fact that the customer hasn't paid their $1,000 past due balance. We may be adding to our potential loss. It will certainly go above $1,000 if we continue to ship product to that customer on open account terms. So fundamentally, we hold orders to motivate delinquent debtors to pay now rather than later, and to signal that we're serious about collecting the debt, that it's no longer in a gray area. This is something that needs to be addressed immediately. We hold orders fundamentally because it's necessary to do so, because we've run out of options short of holding orders as a way to get the customer's attention. We also hold orders as a way to reduce our DSO. Credit hold notifications. So from time to time, we're going to have to tell customers that they're on credit hold. When informing the customer of a credit hold decision, it's important that the person on the phone with the customer speak plainly. They shouldn't apologize. They shouldn't equivocate. They should certainly be willing to explain why the account is on hold, but they should not be in a position where they debate with the customer whether or not the credit hold decision is appropriate. It's important to remember never to bluff about a credit hold. Either the customer is going to go on credit hold or they're not. But bluffing is problematic because if they call your bluff and you don't place them on hold, you've lost a lot of credibility with that customer. My recommendation in connection with credit hold notifications is to give as much advance notice to the salesperson and the customer as you can. The goal here is to give the customer the opportunity to do the right thing. What I'm suggesting here is, and this is an example, we're talking about $1,000 that's past due. You might say, in the form of advance notice, something along these lines. If payment is not received for the $1,000 past due by Friday, I'll have no alternative but to place your account on credit hold next Monday. So that's an advance notice. And again, you'd certainly want to tell the customer that and the salesperson. The salesperson may be able to open doors that you can't access. They may know someone in the debtor company that can move this balance forward, get the issue resolved, get the money flowing from that customer. When you're talking to the customer, it's important to make it clear that the decision to place the account on credit hold was the result of the debtor company's unwillingness or inability to pay the past due balance. And the way that I make that clear is those are the words that I say. Unfortunately, based on your inability to pay the past due balance, I now have no alternative but to place your account on credit hold. Or I have no alternative but to notify you that if we don't have payment on Friday or by Friday, we're going to have no choice but to place your account on credit hold the following Monday. Some additional comments about credit holds. Number one, a credit hold is a last resort. Every time that we place an account on hold, we potentially do damage to the business relationship with that customer. And we, the credit department, have no way of knowing how much damage will be done. And the reality is some customers, upon notice that their account is on hold, are going to take their business elsewhere. And other customers are going to threaten to take their business elsewhere. And we, the credit department, hearing that threat, need to take it seriously. And for that reason, we need to carefully document each and every credit hold decision so the justification for the decision is readily available if someone asks. As I mentioned in the previous slide, we want to give the sales department as much advance notice as possible of an upcoming credit hold. In that discussion, we certainly would be willing to consider options and alternatives to the credit hold. And to the extent that we think it's advisable, we would discuss options with sales and or with senior management. Finally, I would encourage you to limit the number of people with authority to place accounts on credit hold and to limit the number of people with the authority to remove accounts from the credit hold queue. And here's the hint. Not everyone in the credit department needs the authority to approve holds or to release holds. And generally speaking, in the typical business-to-business credit department, only a couple of people have that specific authority. Well, I want to thank you for your time and attention today. If you're interested in hearing the entire 1-hour presentation on the topic of when and how to use credit holds, please contact the sponsoring credit association for more information. Thanks again.